In the beginning, all of humanity was one, a single family speaking with a single voice. They journeyed from the east and settled in a wide, sun-scorched plain, their hearts filled with ambition. "Come," they declared, "let us build a city for ourselves, and a tower whose top may reach into the heavens." So they took brick for stone and bitumen for mortar, and the tower began to rise, a monument to their own strength casting a long shadow across the land. But this pride was a challenge to the heavens, a human echo trying to drown out the divine. So their single voice was shattered into 1,000 different tongues, and confusion descended like a fog. Unable to understand one another, they abandoned their great work and scattered across the face of the earth, carrying with them the memory of a tower that could never be finished. In those days, a decree echoed from an emperor's throne, setting the world in motion. A man and a woman, heavy with child, journeyed under the silent watch of the stars to a town called Bethlehem. There, in the humblest of places, amidst the warmth of animals and the scent of hay, a cry shattered the stillness. A promised king was born, not in a palace of gold, but wrapped in simple cloth and laid in a manger. Suddenly, the heavens tore open above a field of sleeping sheep, and a glorious light flooded the hills. An angel's voice announced tidings of great joy, and a choir of the celestial host filled the air with praise. The shepherds, their hearts filled with wonder, ran to see this miracle, finding the babe just as it was told, a beacon of hope in the quiet dark. In those days, a shadow fell upon the house of David, not of war, but of a sickness that clung to King Hezekiah like a shroud. The prophet Isaiah came, his words a heavy stone. "Set your house in order, for you shall die and not live." Hezekiah turned his face to the wall, his tears carving paths of dust, and his prayer rose not as a king's command, but as a whisper from a broken heart. Before Isaiah had even crossed the middle court, the word of the Lord came like a rushing wind, turning him back with a new decree. God had seen the king's tears and heard his prayer. The shadow would be lifted, and 15 years added to the thread of his life. As a sign, the sun's own shadow on the dial of Ahaz retreated, bending time itself as a testament to mercy. And as the light returned to its proper place, Hezekiah rose, healed and whole, a living monument to a God who listens in the darkness. In the beginning, there was only fear, a vast, trembling dread. Then, with a single prayer, faith burst forth, painting the horizon with hope. A great army, like a flood of shadows, swept toward the kingdom of Judah, and the people gathered, their hearts heavy with despair. King Jehoshaphat stood before them, his face turned toward the heavens, and he cried out not for strength, but for deliverance. God breathed a promise into the silence. A prophet's voice declared that the battle was not theirs, but the Lord's. In the center of it all, he commanded them to stand firm, not with swords or shields, but with songs of praise on their lips. And on the third day, as singers led the way into the wilderness, God stirred confusion among their enemies, and the vast army was defeated, leaving behind only silence and victory. In the beginning, there was only jealousy, a shadow cast by a coat of many colors. Then, with a single act of betrayal, a favored son was cast into darkness, sold into slavery by the hands of his own brothers. The desert sands swallowed his youth, and the walls of an Egyptian prison closed in around him, yet a divine spark flickered within his heart. He rose not with a sword, but with a gift of prophecy, turning dreams into visions and famine into abundance for a great nation. God elevated the forgotten one. The slave became a ruler, the prisoner a savior, his wisdom a shield for the very family that had forsaken him. In the center of it all, he orchestrated a reunion, not of vengeance or anger, but of grace, as tears of forgiveness washed away years of pain. And as the brothers bowed before the one they had wronged, Joseph saw that God's plan was good, and he brought his family home, restoring what was broken. In the quiet stillness of the plains, a voice like distant thunder called to Abraham, testing the depths of his devotion. The command was a whisper that shattered the heart, to offer his beloved son, Isaac, upon the mountain of Moriah. With a soul heavy as stone, Abraham journeyed for 3 days, the dust of the path marking the passage of his silent grief. Upon the mountaintop, an altar of wood and rock stood against the sky, a stark silhouette of obedience. As the knife was raised, its cold steel glinting in the sun, an angel's cry split the air, staying his hand. In the thicket, a ram appeared, a divine offering provided in Isaac's place. And on that peak, as father and son descended together, a covenant was renewed, not in sacrifice, but in unwavering faith.